Hello, everyone watching and listening, and welcome to another episode of Inspired by with Stowe. And I always leave that blank space at the top of the screen because you never know what special guest I will have on the show with me. And today I have the honor to be talking to a Hall of Famer, the one and only Mr. Dewayne Harvey. How you feeling today?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be with you. Having a great day, wonderful time doing a little traveling. So
Yeah.
I'm excited about what God's doing in this day.
Yes. So I mentioned you being a Hall of Famer of the Florida gospel music. So how does that feel?
You know, I really don't. It's an honor.
Yeah.
And when it was given to me, it was an honor. You just do what you love to do.
Yep.
And you don't know that people are watching you and will think so highly of the things that you did. I was inducted in the Florida Gospel Music Hall of Fame prior to becoming a solo artist. I traveled several times with groups. I had Dewayne Harvey and Unrestrained Praise and wrote and recorded with them and put out some wonderful songs. And that's how I ended up there. And I did Dewayne Harvey and the Greater Blessings Praise Team before I got to this point in my life where I'm flying solo.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. That is a huge honor, and I think that's very important in what you said as far as you never know who's watching. And then you really don't care when you're doing what you love and you're doing what you know
Exactly.
you're doing.
Yeah, it wasn't a thing that I was even looking for it or cared. It was just an honor all of a sudden. In my career, I had written for some great gospel artists, Angela Spivey, Dorothy Norwood, and it was just that's what I did.
Yeah.
So when the people recognized what I did, it was truly an honor, and I'm forever grateful for the recognition here in Florida. We have some great singers in Florida, and I'm in some great company in that Hall of Fame.
That's amazing. So Bobby Jones calls you the Renaissance man of gospel music. How did that name come about?
Well, I did Bobby Jones Gospel when he was on BET with several of the groups.
Yeah.
And one time I got ready to perform on BET Gospel, and all of a sudden I hear Bobby Jones go, "Please welcome to the stage the Renaissance man of gospel, Dewayne Harvey," and the group that I was traveling with. And I'm like, what? The Renaissance man of gospel. But it's a great honor once I went back and found out what he was talking about, because you never know who's talking to people. Here we go again on your behalf.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I knew Dr. Jones, but so many people that I knew were going to Dr. Jones talking about, you need to know him. He's great in this field. He's great in that field. He's great in the other field. So he formed his impression of me from what other people carried to him. And so the Renaissance man of gospel, and I think it fits me very well. It's when I looked it up, Renaissance man means a man with many gifts who does a lot of things well. And so I'm not only a singer, songwriter, but I'm an accomplished businessman. I have 4 or 5 degrees. So it fits me well. I try to do all things well. I'm in healthcare. I'm in housing. I'm in gospel. I'm a pastor. So some people he gave 10 gifts. Some people he gave 1. I just happen to be one that's gotten a little more than 1, and I try to use them all for his glory. So.
No, that's amazing, and definitely something that is respected because you're not sitting on those gifts. Like you're aware that you have them and you're putting them into action. So with being a singer, songwriter, accomplished businessman, how do you manage being pulled on in all those areas?
That is a hard thing to manage.
Yeah.
And I think I didn't manage them until I got a little older. And today, what I do is I kind of break up my week. Monday is kind of given to anything that has to do with the healthcare component. I now own a college, which is the Innovative School of Health. So that's given to Mondays that I work on that. Tuesdays is kind of given to housing and all the rental units that I have. Wednesday is given to music. And so all the music that I do, I'm actually headed to the studio after I finish with you. All the music and producing, I kind of segregate to Wednesday. Thursday, I jump back into new projects, anything that I'm doing new. I have about 5 new projects on the way. So on Thursdays, I kind of look at those. And then on Fridays, I start getting ready for Sunday morning, which is I have to be in the pulpit and pastoring and doing all of those things and rehearsals on Saturday. So family time is between Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then it all starts all over again.
Wow. Well,
But I had to segregate my time like that, though I would be crazy.
no, that's good because a lot of people not only can't even get to that point, but even if they do get to that point, manage it efficiently in that way. So that's amazing. Earlier this year, you released your new project, what the Lord allows, with another legend himself and Fred Hammond. But to my understanding, this song was actually years in the making.
Well, actually, I wrote the song probably about 2 years before I recorded it.
Okay.
But 6 years prior to that, I had cut a deal with Fred. He was going to sing a song, another song with me, which is called, that song is called Heaven, and I've never released it. And I got frustrated with the people working with me. And I called Fred back and I said, Fred, I can't do the song. I thought I was just taking maybe a month or two break on it, and then we were going to pick it back up. Well, it actually turned into 6 years. You can really get so frustrated in something. And what I thought would just take 2 months, just let me get myself together, turned into 6 years. And it wasn't until I walked into a rehearsal in 2020, the beginning of 2020, when my minister of music at my church said, "Oh, wow, I wish we could go back to the old days when the pastor would hear all these wonderful songs in rehearsal. He'd come in here and he'd spit them out and we'd learn all these new songs." And he said we could barely get one out of him in a month, less on 6 in a Saturday rehearsal.
Right.
And so it kind of slapped me in my face, and I knew I wasn't doing what I was called to do, what the Lord had put me in. That's kind of the one thing I had put on the shelf. And when he slapped me in my face, the Lord said, "Now." And I went back and I said, well, let me record something. And the song that popped into my mind, because we were just going into the pandemic, was a song I wrote about 2 years ago called What the Lord Allows. And What the Lord Allows it came during a time when I was very upset with God. It looked like things were happening in my business, things were happening at home, everything was coming all kinds of way at me. And I'm like, Lord, you gave me this business, you gave me the home, you gave me all these things. Why is everything coming at me? Why would you put me out here like this for it all to just crumble? And I just felt like he wasn't listening, and I was angry. Driving to church one Sunday morning, angry, just fussing with God. Drove to the church. He didn't say nothing back. Drove to the church, crying all. Got out the car, got myself together because I knew I had to preach. Walked up the doors of the steps to the church, opened the door, and all of a sudden I heard the song, What the Lord Allows. I grabbed my praise team and in 5 minutes taught them What the Lord Allows, and we sung it all Sunday and blessed the church that same day. And basically it just means it was his answer to me while I was doing all that complaining. He said, what the Lord allows is what you need, because I'm everything to you. So whatever is coming your way, it's all working for your good, and you got to trust me in it. And that was my answer. And so when I heard the song, I said, that Fred would be really good on this. I sent the song to Fred, and Fred said, Dewayne, I done heard this song before. And I laughed to myself. I said, Fred, yes, you have, because you came to my home city maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I opened up for him. And when I opened up for him, that was the song that I sung.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really encouraging, because Fred even has said that with the release of this song, this was an on-time song, especially for what the world is dealing with and has been dealing with, especially within this last year or so. And so my question for you is, when we get to those troubled times, like you were just talking about, when we get frustrated, when we feel like, God has left us hanging, a lot of times we see people like run away instead of trying to get closer to him.
Exactly.
So why do you feel people run away or give up more than trying to draw near to him?
You know, it's easier, and I know this is a cliche, but it's easier to give up than it is to fight. It's easier to throw up your hands. It's easier for you to settle where you are. I'll just settle where I'm comfortable, where it makes sense for me, and just stay here and hope it passes instead of fighting through it. And you really have to fight through things. 2020 was a terrible year for me. I lost my sister-in-law, died of a massive heart attack. Two months later, my mother-in-law passed. 2 months later, my aunt passed. It was just one death after the other. I think I did about 13 funerals in 2020, and it's continued on into 2021. And it seems not to be lifting up. And you get to a point where you just ask God, like, now, God, come on here. I know that's what I was saying. I need a break. This is not fair to me. And then God will still remind you, whatever I allow, although you don't know what it's doing right now, it's still working for your good. So even in this, I'm making you into who you need to be. Because you're going through this, I'm strengthening your anointing. You're going to be able to carry more. You're going to be able to help more. You're going to be able to do more because you have gone through this. We overcome by the words of the testimony. So now I have a bigger testimony that I can share with the world, that I can impart, that I can do. So many things are happening around us. And I often share this during that time. A lot of African Americans still are skeptical about having that COVID vaccine shot. Well, I told my family, oh, we're not going to have the shot. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do this. I said, I'm going to pray. I'm going to seek on an answer. And whatever God tells me to do, that's what I'm going to do. I prayed. God told me to take the shot. Took the shot. It was probably about 3 weeks after I took the shot, I was affected with COVID-19.
Wow.
The only thing I had was a headache for 3 days. No symptoms, no breathing issues, no nothing, just a headache. And so when they saw me go through that and they saw other people dying around me who had the same thing, it convinced them to take the shot. So sometimes you got to understand what the Lord allows. He allowed people to develop this. He allowed people to come up with the mechanisms to help save his life. So the song is apropos even in dealing with COVID, even in dealing with any situation, whatever the Lord allows. You know, I'm one of those people who look always, no matter what, look at the glasses half full and not half empty. That is just my philosophy. No matter what is going, whatever I have left is half full. It's better than what I can't complain about what's gone. Let me use what I have left. And what I have left is more than enough.
Wow. And that's encouraging when you speak about going through the development of your testimony, and it's really hard to grasp in the moment. Like, all you think about is why am I going through this? But at the end of it, it's to have that testimony for the next person.
Yeah, and I think during that time, I think I probably preached one of my most powerful messages that I've ever preached. Wow. And the message was entitled, What Do You Know? Okay. While everything else is failing, what do I know? What do I already know about God? What do I already know about his characteristics? And I'm going to have to lean on what I already know. I already know he's brought me out so many times. I already know he's healed my body so many times. I'm going to have to rely on, although this situation looks bad, what do I know? Wow. And when you start relying on what do you know, this morning I'm celebrating because I just became a grandfather again.
Oh, okay.
My son had a baby boy, Dewayne Harvey III. But he called me about 8:30 this morning. She was pushing. And he said this way, they had to stop her because his head is turned the wrong way and they can't get him out that way. I said, hold on. I said, give her the phone. I got a remedy for this. I said, give her the phone. I told her to give his wife the phone. He gave her the phone and I began to pray. I said, now, Lord, in 30 minutes, let that child flip. In 15 minutes, they called me back and said, your prayer worked. He flipped. He out. You got to rely on what you know. I know God hears me.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't have a doubt. So when we pray, you got to have an assurance. You got to know, even in this, God hears you. God's working for your good. He's working behind the scenes, even when it doesn't look like. And that comes from years of being taught in church, years of faith, years of growth, years of development. But
Yeah.
I'm at the point now, you can't shake my, it ain't nothing you can do that's going to shake my faith or my belief.
Wow.
And that's just growth. It's in all of us.
Yes. Yes. That's amazing because like it like when we take I think just taking time to reflect, you know, even when we're going through or when we come out, like it helps, you know, like that, like you were saying, that assurance to reassure our minds, reassure our hearts, because like when you saying things like you're speaking of, all I think about is that we not have a high priest that hasn't been touched by our infirmity. So God
Yeah.
knows exactly what we are dealing with.
He
Like,
knows.
like
He
he came
knows.
from an experience. Every pain, every trouble, every everything that we deal with, that we ask him why, I'm just sure he thinks about, oh, I dealt with it. I've been through it. I know the pain. I know what you're feeling, but there's greater on the other
Yeah.
side.
Yeah. If he allowed it, it's for a purpose.
Yeah.
So you got to start looking at it not as a problem, but as something God allowed. And
Mm,
if he's allowed it, what am I supposed to get out of it? How
yeah.
am I supposed to use it? How am I supposed to grow from it? It's
Yeah.
a renewing of the mind that comes daily. And
Mm,
so every day there's a new thing. And your trials don't get smaller. They always get bigger.
wow.
So it's always like you're graduating from one level. And now I understand what the old people used to say, when he takes me to higher heights and deeper depths.
Yeah. Yeah.
I understand that because each trial is a little more. And what I'm realizing in life with the trials that I go through, the bigger the blessings that come.
Mm,
In a time where we're supposed to be shut down, where everything's supposed to be going wrong,
yeah. Yeah.
I've made some of my greatest business ventures during this COVID.
Yeah.
It's unreal. While everybody's telling you to be upset, be down,
Hmm.
God's blessing me. Um, they're just falling out of nowhere. A young lady has a song, "Blessings Falling Out of Nowhere." That's been my testimony.
Yeah.
They just falling. So when we take a positive outlook on life, and we trust God's timing and His plan, then we allow Him space to move in our lives. And that's all I want to encourage you guys to do. Just allow him the space to move, because he can't move when we are trying to do it all ourselves.
That's powerful right there. That's powerful. So I want to get back to your music for a second, and it seems like you're just in what you've mentioned today. Your creative process and coming up with songs is a little unorthodox. Like you said, yeah, the what the Lord allows came to you when you touched the doors of the church. So what? So what
I
other?
don't I don't have an orthodox way of writing music.
Okay.
I used to tell people I'm not a writer, but that's not true. I am a writer, but more so I think I'm an interpreter.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden I go through life and I hear in, I guess it's a spiritual ear.
Okay.
My ears just open up and
Mm.
I hear these angels singing these songs to me. And all I'm doing is recording what I hear them singing. So that's why I can go in a church service and sing a song all the way through, because I'm singing to you what the angel is singing to me. I'm singing the words, I'm singing the tune. I can tell you the melody line because I'm just an interpreter. I'm listening to what he's saying to me. And so I don't sit down with a pen or a pencil, they just come.
Mm.
I could be anywhere. They just happen. We'll be on a plane. I could be at work. If I'm at work at my desk and it stops, okay, I mash play. I sing as I type the words into the computer. Okay, got that song. Put it aside and keep moving. I
Okay.
sleep with my phone by my bed. So if it comes at night, I
Mm-hmm.
just turn over and start singing into the phone.
Wow.
That's how it happens for me.
That's
And
amazing.
so it's just a gift.
Yeah.
Um, If you ask me to write you a song, what I would do is pull from the many songs that I already have, because it's highly unlikely I could sit down with a piece of paper and say, just they just come.
Yeah.
And so just blessed, just blessed, and I don't take it lightly.
Right. So with your calling and gifts when it comes to the art of music, how does that pour into your calling as a pastor?
Well, I've been pastoring. I'm in my 16th year now, headed to 16. Um, and the first thing the Lord said when I founded the church that I pastored, the first thing He told me to do, and this is going to show you why it's interconnected. He told me to sing the healings. That was the first thing He told me to do. So what happens is, we used to have a segment when people could come to the church called Unusual Praise. And during that segment, you don't know what's going to happen. I will start singing, come in the church, and I know when I sing this song, I sing a song that says, the lame walk, the dumb talk, the deaf hear, the blind receive their sight. Well, now I know when I sing that song, somebody has cancer in the church. And every time any woman who's come in my church and said they have breast cancer, they've been healed. And so I know when they come in the church with breast cancer, if they tell me that, I know to sing that song. Or if I start singing that song, I start looking around who has breast cancer. Wow. And it works every time. The lame walk, the dumb talk, the deaf hear, the blind receive. And it's so many times that I just go in and start singing and people get healed. People get delivered. So it's totally tied to my calling, because the first thing He told me to do was to sing the healings. So how can I pastor without singing? That's my calling.
Yeah. Wow. That that's not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so, I just learned here recently that the average, lifespan of someone being in ministry is 5 years. And so for you to be going into your 16th year is no small feat at all.
Well, I think I'm just a little different because I've been working for over 30 years, and all of my work has been centered basically in African American communities. I've owned healthcare centers. I've had some, at the height of the company, some 460 employees, primarily who are African American. And so when you walk into an African American church with having that type of experience, because when you go to church, you're still dealing with a group of people with different ideas, different backgrounds. It's still like a business, because you're trying to do all these things for all of these people and get them to do the work that they're called to and assist you. And so I think one of the things that keeps me is my ability of having experience in working with people. And then the other thing that keeps me is my sheer belief. And any of your members will tell you, I think sometimes pastors get overloaded because they deal with foolishness. And any of your members, in my members, if anything comes up that's foolish, they'll say, oh, we can't take that to pastor. No, he's not going to deal with. He's not going to deal. Or even if a member comes to me and says, I have a problem with such and such, I'm going to stop them and say, wait a minute. We're not going to talk about them. How could you have handled this better?
Wow.
Because it's two people always involved in any situation. What could you have done differently? I'm not going to discuss them with you. I'm not getting into that. But we want to look at your soul's salvation and what you could have done in Christ that would have made the situation better. And I think by employing strategies and things like that, it doesn't keep me so stressed out over church. It doesn't keep me so burdened, but it's a joy going. One of the things about churches, they're cyclical. People come, people go. And I have a heart that attaches to everybody. So one of the things, it's hard to see people come and it's hard to see people go. I deal with a lot of college students who are there for 4 years. You form a bond with, and then they're gone. They moved on and start their careers. It's a very difficult process.
Yeah.
But you keep preaching and you keep. And I say it like this now that I'm older. I have churches all over the country because wherever they go, they're always going to be an extension of me.
Wow. Well, that's great. That's great. So before I let you go, I gotta have you fill in the blank of this sentence for me. So I am Dewayne Harvey, and I'm inspired by blank, and it can be as many words as you want it to be.
I'm Dewayne Harvey, and I'm inspired by life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm inspired by every day living the best life I can, inspired by everything it has to offer, inspired by God's word, inspired by what God does every day. Every day He astounds me. He'll astound anybody if you let Him. I'm just so grateful to be walking and living this life in this space and time. Forever grateful. And that's what inspires me. I always look for the new in each and every day. I never wake up down. I never wake up. This is going to be, no, when I wake up, this is going to be a good day. Hey, God, what we got going on today? What's going to, I am totally inspired. And as He unveils and does things for me each day, I am, some people would think, well, you have so much, he keeps surprised. It's like a kid on Christmas Day, knowing what God's gonna do for me next. I'm a little country boy, grew up in a little country town in dirt roads. My granddaddy had 7 children. At one point, all 7 children lived in the house with their spouses and their children. So I come from a menial background. We had an outhouse. And to see God raise somebody up from that situation and do the great and marvelous things that He's done in my life. Beverly Crawford, if He hasn't done enough, He's done enough. I like the song, but I'm on the standpoint, God, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing, whatever you have for me, let me reach whatever you have. One of the things that the late Miles Monroe said, he said, the richest place on earth is the graveyard, because so many people never tapped into everything that God had for them. And I want to be one of the ones. I want to be a completely empty vessel when I leave this earth because I've tapped into everything that God has for me. And that's just how I choose to live. So every day of life is an opportunity. Every day of life is a blessing. Every day. I don't care if I'm in pain. I don't care if something happened in my face. It's still a blessing. And we're going to get the best out of whatever hand we'll deal. So life, God, family, those are my greatest inspirations. And I know I went long. I went a whole long time.
No. That's why it's blank to fill it in with whatever.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Is there anything that we didn't touch on that you wanted to share with everyone watching and listening?
I think we shared on some of everything. I told you I'm a talker. You get me started, and then you go down that lane about God, I'll talk all day.
All right.
I want you to stay in touch, the listeners and viewers, stay in contact with me. Go to DewayneHarvey.com and you can see what's happening with Dewayne Harvey. Follow me on Instagram at Dewayne Harvey and Twitter at Dewayne Harvey and on Facebook at Dewayne Harvey Music. Follow me, see what's happening, see the messages, see the music, hear the music, and so much more. I love meeting new people. Thank you for having me. I got a friend now forever. That's how I look at it. I never meet a stranger. I always meet friends. And when I approach life like that and you treat people like that, they always return back to you. And I'm just grateful.